Broads Media.
Yo! Before we kick things into gear, you can join the Broads Media membership here on YouTube, and you get access to Coffee with Broads every Monday and Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Super chill. We have a cup of coffee as I sit in my office here, get stuff done. It's incredible. So we get to chat with each other live, and you also get access to our Discord channel, which the information is down below in the description, so we can always stay in touch and contact each other when news drops throughout the day. We're having a lot of fun. All the information's down below. Also, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all your podcasting platforms. So leave a 5-star rating and a review. It will go a long way. And also subscribe here on YouTube if you're new. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Come on, man. 50? 50 for the big man after he says we are winning this series. After he says we should be up 2-0. After he says this is our series, this man returns from home, pops 4 threes in the third quarter, hits 5 total. This man was on a mission. Sometimes the defender was right in his grill, but it was nothing but a beautiful back pedal and a goose just chilling as he drains a 3. This man was insane. Insane. Out of this fucking world. From straight away, nothing but net. From the wing, nothing but net. And there's actually, believe it or not, there's Knicks fans complaining about the refs. You wouldn't survive as a human being if you're gonna bitch about that game and not even process what the hell happened at the end of game 2. Like, there's no way in this fucking world there's actually New York Knicks fans that think they have a case to talk about anything with the Zebras after what they put us through in game 2. I mean, you got to be sick in the head. I mean, you got to be dumb as rocks if you think you get any sort of free pass on anything related to the refs tonight. And they did make one brutal mistake, okay? The biggest of them all is, personally, I thought Joel Embiid should have got a flagrant 2, because when he was on the ground and he took a shot at the legs, that's horrible. That's terrible. If that happened to any Sixer, no matter who the opponent was, and the Sixer was the one with the ball in his hands underneath the basket, and someone takes a shot below the knees there, I would have been fuming. So, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest of them all, which is a pretty damn big one, considering Embiid dropped 50. But unfortunately, we only get a 2-minute report. We don't get a 48-minute report. We're going to break down the whole thing. I would have called a flagrant 2. I thought that was dirty as hell. But for Embiid to rebound from that, because he lost his cool early on. He was frustrated within the first 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes of the game. And as it started to progress there, he was all over the map. And I don't know, and I don't recall a time where Embiid on the fly, after he already somewhat checked out, was able to recover mid-game and then have that level of third quarter. He was unbelievable in this game, and they responded. I mean, they made this thing a series. We did get to the point where it was a must-win game. Sometimes we throw that around a little too loosely in a playoff series, but going down 3-0 would have been a nail in the coffin. But you still have life. You still have an opportunity to win at home on Sunday afternoon to bring this thing back to New York tied 2-2. And that's what I was trying to tell everybody before, that you really can't even overreact when you're down 0-2 with 2 home games still to go, because there is just too much time. I've watched too much basketball, and the Sixers are the better team. They are the better team. It's not as if you're down 0-2, but you know the opponent is by far better than you. It's not the case. The Sixers should be up 2-1 right now. If it wasn't, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm sorry. I don't want to relive it. We're past it now. We did get past it. You had help this time. Kelly Oubre, thank you. But my guy, Cam Payne. It's like Nick Nurse was living in my head because I texted my buddy after Buddy Hield sucked again. I hit up my buddy like, yo, Nick's got to do something different. I don't give a damn who. I don't care if it's DeAnthony Melton, who's barely been available for you all year. I don't care if it's Cam Payne. I don't care if you switch things up and throw KJ Martin in there. I don't care if you get creative and try to find life for Ricky Council. Anybody but Buddy Hield. Yes, in theory, he gives you spacing and stretches the floor. Here's the problem. I don't give a damn about in theory when the dude was sucking the life out of your team. Cam Payne came in and started cooking. All right, the guy was smoking hot and stayed smoking hot. You just needed something. Maxey and Joel Embiid have been doing everything to give the squad life and a chance and an opportunity, but it's not going to be Tobias. No. He had a huge 5-point swing. He does something magnificent, works his ass off for an offensive rebound, but the problem is he misses a layup. He misses a 1-foot buddy, and that leads to a Knicks 3 on the other end, and you could tell that the whole building was fed up with it. Come on, Toby! Come on! You finally do something we can cheer about, and you give us that energy that we've been desperate for and been screaming for, and then you can't just lay the ball in? Why do you struggle with layups so much? Why are you so bad around the rim? You are too good to be that bad around the rim. Come on! Come on! We wouldn't even need to be relying on the campaigns of the world if you just had a pulse. But I guess it's just not a thing. How about this fourth quarter lineup? Did anybody want to faint when they saw Lowry, Batum, Payne, Harris, and Paul Reed? I'm like, no, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't think I'll make it through. More importantly, I don't think you'll make it through. But they did. And OG, with 4+ minutes to go, when the Sixers had a comfortable lead, 2 bang threes in a row to cut it to 8. But they did not falter. Even when the Knicks sent some pressure, the ball was right over half court. Kyle Lowry making passes across the court to a Batum. And you kill some time off the clock. You survive. You get fouled. I already saw a clip of Tom Thibodeau working the refs post-game, and he's all about the how many free throws do they have? Yeah, well, you don't have Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid puts people in foul trouble. Joel Embiid is the best player skill level-wise on earth, and if you think it's someone else, well, maybe you could have that argument, that yoke, whatever. Joel Embiid's in that category! So when he's in that category, Hartenstein can't stop him! Nobody can stop him! And the injury to Robinson, I think, could potentially change this series because he brought an element that they are now missing. I have no idea what the update was post-game. All I know is in-game, he had to leave and will not return. That is a crucial blow for them. You will send Joel Embiid to the line because Joel Embiid is making you foul him because he's great. That's how this works, especially in an era that isn't accustomed to having a big man with this type of skill set. There's 2 dudes. It's not a perimeter player. You can't relate it the same way. When you're dominant at this position, it's funny because a lot of fans who hate the traditional setup of a center these days says that Joel Embiid doesn't ever work low from the basket and close to the basket. No, he does. He does it all. That's why it's incredible. He hits 5 threes, too. That straightaway 3 has become money. And you know what he can do from the wing, too. He was feeling it, man, feeling it. Didn't matter if a defender had his hot-ass breath right in his face. Don't worry about it. And he's even talking that talk to Brunson. I love it. I love the fact that he handled adversity because he was in his own head in the early frame, recovered for 50 after making comments. And also, a lot of people were barking because, and Woj just actually confirmed it, there is a face injury now. Part of his face, his mouth and all is hanging, it's drooping, his eyes are going a certain way. So now he's dealing with that too. It's ridiculous how much he battles through. Every single postseason, the dude gets hit in the face. Maybe he's closer to the basket than people are giving him credit for. I'm just saying, what type of man gets hit in the face as much as he does, but he's never around the basket, apparently. I mean, geez. 50, though, and made comments about it and getting mocked for having his head down, and I was one of them because I just sort of checked out post-game while we were recording the podcast, and I didn't really have all the information yet. I was just kind of seeing it. I'm like, dude, that piss-poor body language, who's going to believe in you now? Well, when the entire team knows what he's actually battling through, apparently they didn't want to make it any sort of outside noise, if you will. Anything to focus on. Like, have that be the narrative about the team. I mean, okay, whatever. Just go get me 50. I don't care how you do it, just go get me 50. How many Knicks fans were in that building? Seriously. It's embarrassing, people. And it's been happening a lot. It's been happening with the Knicks. It's been happening with the Mets. Doesn't really with the Giants. I mean, I'm sure Giants fans go to Eagles games, but in regards to hearing a portion of the building or a portion of the link because Giants fans are so loud or anything, no, it doesn't get to that level whatsoever. But I do want to play this cut from the one and only Charles Barkley, and he expressed how upset he was with this town for how crazy the building was going for some New York Knicks buckets. I mean, when Hart was raining a couple threes, and how crazy is this? Jalen Brunson has his best shooting performance. That's the one they fall in, and even Josh Hart had 4 threes. So now they got the Josh Hart effect. They had a better Jalen Brunson, and they still came up small because there was actually a layer of team basketball in this one, and they had the added scoring from Oubre and Campaign. If it was just the 50 burger and Maxey and no campaign spurt, no any help around with Kelly Oubre, because he was a zero. He was a non-factor for you in Madison Square Garden. What do you know? The entire game looks different. They won this pretty comfortably in that second half. Sure, the Knicks didn't, quote, roll over and die, and I'm sure that they like that and they're going to try and build off of that. But it was a pretty easy, comfortable win there in that second. They shot the lights out in that third quarter, popping over 40+. You just can't keep up pace like that. And I don't expect Joel Embiid to shoot from behind the arc with that level of consistency. I don't think they're going to have that many. But we don't need to do this, right? We don't. We don't need to do this. Because it never plays out the same way. So I don't want to hear it. My mentions were blown up after the game was over by those stupid Knicks fans. And the amount of people say, well, you have to get 50 from Embiid to it. No, you don't. No. It's not true. We just happen to have that happen tonight. And the fact that you have someone who's capable of giving you a 50 when saying to the world, we are winning this series. I just want to make sure that that is on the record and understood. Joel Embiid goes, we are doing this, all right? This is our series. We should be up. We are taking this series. We're going home, and we're going to take care of business. And not only did they win, but they win with him having an iconic moment. Arguably the biggest moment of Joel Embiid in the playoffs. This is no James Harden duo anymore. This is him. Maxey's a nice piece. It's him now. James Harden had the whole entire career. He had the pedigree. He had that background that put him once at the level the level Joel Embiid was. So whether you liked it or not, it became more of the duo. With Embiid and Ben, it was the duo. Yes, there is technically a duo with him and Maxey, but it's not as much as whose team is it. And because of the nature of how Harden played, sometimes that became relevant. With all of it being on Embiid now, because no one would blame Maxey if they were to lose this series, the way the intensity would fly towards Joel. And that guy put the entire team on his back. Okay, here's Charles Barkley on what he thought of all the Knicks fans that took over the Wells Fargo Center.
What don't you like?
I'm disgusted.
Disgusted at what?
All those Knicks fans there. This Philadelphia's a
100 miles. It's 100 miles away.
I don't give a damn. We're the Philadelphia 76ers. You can't have them people in your building making all that noise.
Sounds like a home game for New York.
It does. Yeah. It really sounds like a home game for the Knicks. I am so disappointed.
You're going to have to stop.
I guarantee you, them people in New York wouldn't sell Sixers tickets.
Well, people want money.
Man.
They can't afford to put their money on Ticketmaster.
Nah, dude, I ain't with it. I'm not with it. It was too much. Look, you can never run every Knicks fan out of the building, but what you can have happen when you're on a stage like that, when the entire NBA world is tuning in, and it's arguably one of the better matchups in the first round, to have Knicks fans come to your town and actually, through the television screen, have so much pop and flair to their excitement. It's unacceptable. So I don't know how it's happening, but for a playoff game, that team, I don't know how it doesn't eat you alive. I mean, it makes my toes curl. I'm getting this nasty feeling inside of me. They're horrible people. And I have to hear them cheer after Jalen Brunson. It's a bucket. Please. Sunday afternoon can't come quick enough. You know, I asked this on Twitter, and I wasn't joking. It's a serious question, but it's not that serious. I think that there were some that were like, how could you possibly pin these two together? Okay, what moved the needle a little more for you tonight? Was it the Eagles draft, if they were going to select at 22, or possibly Howie jumping up? And we know now that they draft a cornerback. We'll have an episode for you here on Broge Media, so take a look out for it. So you have that, or you have a Sixers playoff game where they haven't been playing good, and now they're returning home, but the vibes are super down because the fan base doesn't have a lot of optimism. What moves the needle a little more for you? And it was falling at about 50-50. It was super, super close when I first started the show. Right now, our results are final. And it is 52% say Sixers game, 48% says the Eagles. The reason I bring it up here is because Sixers game 3 was it for me. I don't really care about the Bears getting Caleb Williams. That stuff, no, whatever. I don't need 45 minutes on it and the panel to break it. I don't need that substance, okay? Let's get the 22. If you're not going to pick in a higher selection and trade up, let's get the 20. I need every dribble, though. Every single moment of my life from the time 7:30 to about, 10:30 or so. And that first quarter took 7 years. I swear to God, the game tipped off at 7:30? It was 9:18, and it was 1 minute and 17 seconds left in the first quarter. It was a joke. But anyway, going back to let's review this, let's review that, review your ass. Let's go. Tip the ball up. But anyway, as I totally lose my train of thought. Yes. I was all in on every dribble of the Sixers. Sixers was the edge for me. But what say you? I give the edge to the Sixers. And it was a big, massive win. And now look how quickly the confidence shifts back into our favor because, you have the best player on the floor. You got the best player on the floor. Nick Nurse was willing to yank Buddy Hield off. Nick Nurse is willing to go with other guys other than Tobias Harris. And there's no doubt about it that through 3 games, I see this. The Knicks have this attitude and this urge to play with a motor that doesn't stop. And sometimes that gets to the Sixers group. But the Sixers group is more skilled. They're more dynamic. The Knicks are feisty. They don't give up. They never allow you to get easy buckets. It's strictly hard work from Tom Thibodeau and the way that he approaches his mannerisms and whatnot. The better all-around skilled team is the Sixers. And I just have to imagine over time that will show up. That will tell us the story. And you dug yourself a monster hole. So if they do it from here and win essentially, what would that be? Let's say they close this out in, well, I guess I was going to say 6. So you'd win 4 in a row. Okay. So if it goes to 7 games, after you lose 2, what is that? Why is this so hard for me? 4 and 2. I'm trying to say, after you dig yourself in a hole 2-0, holy shit. I didn't think math would be this difficult. I'm done. I'm done with the equation. But the overall summary of it was the amount of games you'd win to win the series after falling down 0-2. That's an epic run. And you can only do that if you have the more talent and the better skill. Jesus Christ. God forbid you listen to that whole sequence. You'd lose some brain cells. All right, that's why we're going to go to the Anytime Hotline. All right, let's get to the people. Here's your reaction after a big win against the Knicks. Let's do it.
Hey, bros, what's happening? Good evening. Right now, I'm still watching the game. Sixers are up 119-109 with 1:55 to go. I'm fully expecting the Sixers to close this particular Game 3 out with the W. But what I'm observing is the Sixers have played with poise, patience. They're playing like a veteran team that has some experience. I didn't see panic. I did not see the team acting skittish toward the end, toward the closing out, at least up to the point of the game that I'm watching right now. I like the fact that Kelly Oubre Jr. and Cam Payne have been that added plus that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey needed. This has been a key game. Take this momentum into Game 4 and play the same way. Tobias Harris needs not to be playing. Buddy Hield needs not to be playing. Go with the guys that showed you in Game 3. Take care, bros. Let's go Sixers. Let's go Eagles in the draft.
I appreciate the phone call. A lot of good stuff. Absolutely, they played with this poise and the not going to roll over attitude and let you snag another game. There was clearly a different sense of urgency led by Kyle Lowry, I thought, when he was getting the ball right around the half-court mark. There were times where they brought a lot of pressure, and maybe we were living in a PTSD moment, and we're like, no, not again, not again. But found Batum, found others around the perimeter, and got to milk the clock off, which was so damn important. And you just sort of figured, getting to the role players, and the fact I'm even mentioning Tobias Harris with that campaign crew and all, just tells you how far he has fallen. At home, traditionally, your role players will be better. The energy. The place is rocking. So someone had to do something, right? Because the crowd would be bananas. They'd be going crazy as hell. They take over. They get in the head of the Knicks. Fourth quarter possessions, loud. Miscommunication, turnover, you name it. An offensive foul. The ball goes the other way. People are rising to their feet, standing up. Allen Iverson is on the court, fist pumping his ass off because Joel Embiid's putting up another 3. It's crazy what the place can do. And normally, that bleeds into a campaign. Did you see the first bucket he made? And he wasn't grittying by any means, but he landed on his 1 foot. He exaggerated it. He looked at the crowd with acknowledgement, and he started nodding his head up and down. That's what it's all about. It's that momentum switch that occurs. And these role players have to do it at home, of course, but they need to make sure it travels to Madison Square Garden because you're going to have to win a game up there. Let's take care of business, Game 4. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But when they were returning back home, you sort of wondered, okay, it's inevitable that they start to have some shots made from their contributors, whether it's because they're too good to stink for that long or because of playing in South Philly. Here's what Nick Nurse talked about, because he's been in this situation before. He reminded his team that he was down 0-2 in the postseason series and came back and won. So this is what Nick Nurse said pregame.
You know, like I've been here before. Let's go. We played probably well enough to win both games, to be honest. But we didn't. Been here before. It's really doable. You know, all that kind of stuff. But just got to dial in on one.
I love the message. I really do. I like the idea of having this known arrogance of, we're fucking better than this team. Like, we're fucking better than this team. It sucks that we are in this position. But what are we going to do about it? There's a lot of things in this game plan that's working. There's a lot of things that we're doing extremely well that over 7 games will favor us. It hasn't early on because, well, maybe we lacked rebounding. Maybe we lacked in other areas that it didn't pan out, but we can't lose truth in what we believe. Or, dude, we put our hands up and acknowledge that Hart came to play and he answered the bell, destroying what we thought would happen, but let's dare him again. Or he can do that. Fine. We can win if he hits 3 or 4 threes. It's not as if Josh Hart's dropping 50. What we need, though, is a contributor. Who will be number 3? All year long, it was Kelly Oubre. So it was sad that he shrunk, because he shrunk. Him and Buddy Hield look like they've never seen, and, well, Buddy Hield, but still, it's like they've never seen basketball before. Forget it. I was going to say playoff basketball, which is somewhat applicable. You can apply it. But it's like they've never seen basketball. We would have won those games even if Josh Hart still scored his points if we just had one human being with a pulse. And that's a very fair message to have, and I like that message from Nick Nurse, and I believe they bought into it for Game 3, and they need to continue buying into it for Sunday afternoon. Let's take our next call.
Wow. Joel fucking Embiid.
That's right.
You know, Birds, when this game started, I mean, you know, I didn't really like the shit we saw from Embiid, like grabbing at the fucking legs of Mitchell Robinson. Didn't like that at all. It kind of looked like a sore loser. It looked like, you know, the Sixers kind of were losing their emotions, but, man, that third quarter was fucking magical, man. I mean, he really answered the call. I mean, he said what he said. I mean, obviously a long fucking series ago, this Knicks team is good. Jalen Brunson is a fucking beast, but, you know, he looked like he really meant what he said out there tonight. 50 fucking points. Joel Embiid, I mean, a long series to go, but, hey, man, this is looking really good right now. Game 4 Sunday, got to win it again. Thanks, bro. See ya.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yes, you do have to win that game. It needs to be 2-2 heading back to New York, and you can really rip their soul out of their chest on Sunday. I believe that. They can pretend all they want that, hey, we're going back home, this thing resets, it's a best-of-3 series. No. Because then you would be playing 4 games and realizing that we haven't been the better team in 4 games. We're lucky to have it 2-2. And by then, the Sixers would have all the answers. I truly mean it. I believe Nick Nurse, from an let's apply a game plan level, it's not as if the Knicks can draw stuff up to outduel the Sixers schematically here. They do one thing. They work their ass off. And if they beat you in 7-game series because they outwork you and that work ethic takes you down, then shame on you. Because if you match their work ethic with your skill and your head coach advantage, you should be winning this series, okay? In 6 games, and that's how I saw it. But I get crazy stuff happens here. 4 games in a row, because Knicks players themselves even acknowledge that wasn't as if it was their best game. But Nick Nurse, and I'm saying in the win when they went up 2-0, it's not as if they were lighting the world on fire, and they knew that. So they looked at the results, we're happy, and here we go. We're right back into this thing. Joel drops 50, in case you forgot. 50! That's 5-0. 50. Ew! Ew! My favorite, though, was Maxi's three-pointer on Hartenstein when there's a mismatch. And let me sidestep three. Nothing but splash. Guy's outrageous. Let's go to Mason and Lansdale.
Hey, bro, it's a great win for the Sixers tonight. Just needed that one to bounce back. You know, shout out to Campaign, who was balling out today. Embiid giving us 50. I mean, he looked more, attentive out there, more active. He looked definitely more confident as well. You know, Maxey in the first half as well was lights out. I thought all around we played great. The one thing that I want is Kelly Oubre to start hitting some shots. Kyle Lowry, these past 3 games looking good today. He had that good midi at the end of the fourth quarter that I really liked. But, all in all, great team win. Toby needs to start showing out a bit more, but, we're at the point where, we just desire more. He doesn't, pull through, but that's okay. We got the win. But one thing that really pissed me off, that really irked me, was that the Knicks came into our building, and when there was shit going their way, they sounded like they were trying to have a fucking party. I don't know if you noticed that, but that made me irate. But hey, man, it's what it is. We'll see him again. It's Sunday or it's Saturday. I don't give a fuck. Whenever we see him again, let's take it to him. Go Sixers.
Mason, I'm just glad that pissed you off as much as it pissed me off, because I didn't know if maybe I was blowing that out of proportion. But I knew I wasn't, because it even pissed off Charles Barkley, and he knows that's unacceptable crap is what that is. And it happens way too frequently. It happened with the Rangers and the Flyers not too long ago. Granted, they made a front office change, and that front office made it very known publicly that we ain't going to be having that. So they took that personally, and now they're starting to attack that by putting a better product on the ice. But it does happen way too much. The Mets take over. Hell, the Phillies had the Mets fan group throw out the first pitch. Yeah, I'm supposed to just sit here and take that? I'm supposed to sit here and take those garbage Knicks fans who smell like shit that are coming down here. I got to deal with them in my building? Hell no. No! 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 But it's probably going to happen again on Sunday. So be ready for another discussion. But I'm glad it pissed you off, too. All right, everybody, those are my thoughts. Big win for your Sixers. Joel Embiid at 50. Talk to you all on the next one.